Alright everybody, welcome back to another video. So today's video, it's going to be kind of one video in a series of putting a V8 engine in a V6 Camaro. So this is a 1980 Camaro, second gen body style. It's pretty much the same from 70 all the way to 81. And in our case, in 1980, they had two V6 offerings. You had a Buick 231 and a Chevrolet 229 V6 engine. Luckily I had the 229 because it's basically a 305 with two cylinders lopped off, so everything is the same. So a V6 to V8 swap is pretty easy to do. Here's the engine we're going to put it in. This is a 383 stroker from Blueprint. It's got some stuff yet to be done to it before it's ready to put in, like switching out valve covers and all that, but about 440 horsepower from the 100 horsepower V6 engine. Should be quite a difference. Alright, so again we're talking about motor mounts. Alright, so this is the cross member. I honestly should have filmed the part where it's taking out the 6-cylinder motor mounts. Basically look like this in the frame. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. And the thing about removing the old ones is the two inner bolts on this mount, there was some kind of a nut. You can see the threads, it's welded inside of the cross member. So I was able to just pop them out pretty easy, but the top and the bottom one on both sides, as soon as you loosen it up, it just started spinning freely. So it was just like there was a nut on the back. Unfortunately, a lot of people say, for good reason, that the hardest part about swapping a V8 into one of these cars is really the motor mounts. Everything else is pretty easy. And that's kind of true, because just removing them is kind of a pain, and then getting the new ones on is a little bit of a pain. But I'm going to kind of show you the way I'm going to do it. Hopefully it'll help you out if you're trying to do the same thing. So the big thing to note is on the V6 cars, the frame mount, you can see, was just a piece of metal. And then on the engine was a piece of rubber, or was actually the rubber insulated part of the mount. Whereas on the V8 car, it's the exact opposite. So here's one of the frame motor mounts. It's called a clamshell for obvious reasons. And you can see that the rubber part is on the frame side. And then this is the engine side. So it's kind of, like I said, kind of the opposite of the 6-cylinder, where this bolts to the side of the block and then goes over, and we have our bolt that goes through the hole and through the mount. So how this mounts on the engine is over here. We'll just use 3 bolts, and they'll mount to the side of the engine, and then that will slide down over the clamshell, and we'll put our long bolt through the middle. So there'll be links to all the parts that I'm using for this conversion. So these engine mounts are made by OER, which is a restoration company. They make kind of really nice parts for these older cars, not just Chevy. And then you've got options when it comes to the motor mounts. So I'm actually going to show you 3 different ones real quick before we get into how to install it. So this one I bought on Amazon. It's Marmon Ride Control. It's only about 10 bucks a piece. It looks decent. It's got a nice painted body. You can see the rubber. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. I was a little scared about paying that little for a motor mount, but these are just good old school mounts, and they are cheap no matter where you get them. Here's one from O'Reilly. And it's their Power Torque brand. Honestly, I would say that it is the exact same thing as that. Probably made in the same factory overseas somewhere. If we look at this one is Anchor. They all have the same part number, 2292. This one was from Advance Auto Parts. So the only thing positive I'll say about this one is it says made in the USA. Besides that, the quality of it looks horrible compared to these. You can see it's not painted, it's raw steel. So you're either gonna have to paint it or it's gonna rust immediately. And then, I mean, just the way it's finished, it's really rough. And the hole going down through the middle, looks like it changes diameters a little bit. This one it does look more like a genuine Chevrolet mount, like a little bit, just because it's kind of raw, but I think it'd be harder to get this one installed. So you can choose whatever's easiest for you. If you want to buy them online, I'll have a link in the description, or you can go to your local parts store and pick one up, you know, like these ones from O'Reilly here. Again, they're all the same. The left and right use the same mount. All right, so how these work is, you can see there's a bunch of holes. So these are our V6 mounts back here. You want to find the forwardmost holes. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3. Only 3 of them that line up, and it's going to match. And the 4th one just won't have a bolt in it, unless you want to drill another hole. But how this works is, it will only fit one way. These are spaced differently than these right here. So if you try to turn it around this way, there's no way the holes will line up, versus if you turn it like this, you can see that the top 2 holes line up, and then we've got our bottom hole, and it's the same thing on the other side. All right, so I'm using, these technically are 3/8 size for 3/8. And I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to do this. I thought I was going to have to, like, you know, feed some welding wire down through or something and pull these back up and then put the nut on. But I got these really good grade 8 5/16 nuts and bolts here. But I think if you have an assistant, in my case, the car is on a lift right now, and as you can see, I'm standing here in the engine bay. It will be able to come in from underneath with a swivel and a 1/2-inch socket, and may be able to just bolt this in like normal. So that's what we're going to try to do. All right, so my assistant is down below, kind of trying to hold that there. The swivel. I'm going to try to just get this started. Just lined up our other holes. Okay, so there's our first one. All right, so now I'm shooting for this bottom one, just to the right, just a hair. Right, that way. Okay. This one's pretty tricky, trying to get the angle. Pull it straight. Right. So here's the driver's side. So you can see these are your accesses that you're going to be using if you do it like how we did. Basically right here, this hole, then this hole here. And it helps having the car up on a lift like this, because the suspension is drooping and giving us a little bit of access. It's going to be the same thing over here on the other side. You see we've got the hole here, and then the one up on top there, right there. That's where you're going to be feeding your socket and your extension. So we used a couple of just regular 3/8 extensions. Took a swivel, put a little electric tape on it. That keeps it from just flying all over the place. You know, kind of controls the movement. And I can take the tape back off of it now that we're done. And in my case, since it's size bolts, I use a little 1/2-inch socket. All right, so now we're on the other side. Wait, you're getting close. Go up, up, a little bit more, like up. Oop, you slipped. Now it's turned around. You were right there. Would it help if I just put the thing through? Okay, I'll get that one. So this one I'm going to attempt to come in from right, there's a little access right here. So I should just be able to get this one from above here. Yep. I can see it. I kind of said these two were threaded. I was able to get this one off because there's this nice little access hole right here. It's just only like this big. If Chevy would have put those, a couple more of those, this would be a pretty easy job. But unfortunately, they didn't. So now we're going to get this last one in the bottom here. Now, hold on, up just a hair. I mean, we're talking a hair. Hold on, right there. Okay, hold on. I got it. Okay, see if we can get that out of there without losing the... Okay, so there's our two engine mounts. They're in. So now, when we got these bolted down to the engine, this will kind of just slide right in. These are pretty tight. These rubber ones, I still haven't decided if I need to just grind a little rubber off there, but these little tabs actually are stops. So you don't go too far with the engine. This just comes right down on there, and then the bolt, in theory, should just go right through. If not, we'll just take a little like screwdriver and just kind of work it like this while the engine's suspended. But we'll leave that for another video. So again, there's a lot of talk about you know, switching V6 to a V8, one of these second gen Camaros. Wanted to show you the motor mount thing because that seems to be actually one of the more difficult parts of the swap. Again, there'll be links to all this stuff in the description below. If the video helped you out, be sure to like it, subscribe to the channel for more. Leave a comment if you have a question or comment. Maybe you did it a different way. Like I said, I thought I was going to be bringing the bolts up from the bottom and then putting the nuts on the top. You could do it that way. It actually would be easier, especially if you're doing it by yourself. But this looks a little more like the factory way, you know, having them go down this way. So, worked out good. All right, thanks for watching. Until next time, we'll see you later.